For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Nkosazana Dlamini. Political analyst Oprima Jiki discusses the ANC leadership race. You say the momentum has swung towards Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa away from Dlamini-Zuma. Why?
Well, there is a perception that Dlamini-Zuma is the candidate for corruption, state capture, looting of state resources, rent-seeking and patronage. And that perception comes from the image crisis of President Jacob Zuma and the Zuma faction. And it is causing collateral damage to the image of Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. As a result, the strategy of her opponents has been to attack Jacob Zuma instead of attacking her directly, in the hope that they will be causing collateral damage to her image by attacking the image of the president.
Why do you say a moment for Cyril Ramaphosa is a moment for change?
Well, there is, I think, a general acceptance inside and outside the ANC, if you do not count those who support President Jacob Zuma, that the ANC is in a state of decline. It is in a state of decline when it comes to a decline in the quality of leadership, the moral content of the party, at a strategic level, tactical level, intellectual level, and other levels. But I think there is a general acceptance that in moral and ethical terms, there is a very deep decline in the ANC. So what the opponents of the president, who express their opposition through opposition to Dlamini-Zuma, want is an ANC that is the opposite of what it has become under Jacob Zuma. And therefore, they are running against Dlamini-Zuma on a platform of change and are trying to project Ramaphosa as the moral other of the president and therefore the candidate for change.
Everyone will ask how you arrived at this title, which suggests that the contest is between Ramaphosa as well as our President Jacob Zuma and not Dlamini-Zuma and Ramaphosa.
Well, I think that to some extent the opponents of Dlamini-Zuma are opponents of Jacob Zuma to the extent that this presidential race to them amounts to the unfinished business of Polokwane. In other words, what they want to see is Jacob Zuma's humiliation at the upcoming national conference. And for them, that humiliation will happen if Dlamini-Zuma is defeated.
Which one is more damaging in NDZ's campaign, between the fact that President Jacob Zuma backs her or the candidates mentioned in her slate, which are Mpumalanga Premier David Mabuza as well as Free State Premier Ace Magashule?
Well, I've been listening to statements the supporters of Dlamini-Zuma have been making. If you think of people such as Batabile Dlamini, Colin Maine, Ace Magashule, when he gave his opening speech at the conference of the ANC in the Free State, and others. It seems to me that Dlamini-Zuma's enemy is not only the image crisis of the president, but is also the verbal diarrhea of some of his supporters. The example being some of the people I have mentioned, who are making outrageous statements about the judiciary and other things, to her detriment, in my view. So ordinarily, Dlamini-Zuma should lose. But the moral decline of the ANC and the loss of moral authority of the ANC may be so deep that there is no room for a person perceived to be the moral other of President Jacob Zuma and the faction that supports him to be victorious at this conference. Of course, there are doubts that Ramaphosa should be regarded as such a moral other. In my view, Ramaphosa has not benefited from the swing in momentum away from Dlamini-Zuma because he is the moral other. He has benefited because even a broomstick would have benefited, because the dominant impulse is that anything but Zuma will do, broomstick or Ramaphosa.
You also say Ramaphosa has done nothing that is remarkable during this presidential race. What were you expecting from him?
Nothing. Nothing more than what has happened, because if you remember, my view has been that none of the candidates are equal to the challenges that face the ANC and the country. And the fact that Ramaphosa has done nothing more than echoing or regurgitating popular sentiment and chewing water, that is not something that has come as a surprise to me. It's exactly what I expected from his candidacy.
Can you briefly outline the three things that you say Ramaphosa has had to his advantage?
Well, I think, first of all, there has been a much broader campaign, a campaign broader than the narrow presidential contest that has been on for at least 2 years. The attack on state capture and associating state capture with President Jacob Zuma and those who support him, and therefore Dlamini-Zuma, is a campaign that has been taking place both inside and outside the ANC. It's a campaign now that has gone to Parliament. So, in a way, Dlamini-Zuma has faced opposition from different parts and different fronts, not just inside the ANC. So she has faced opposition because of this broader campaign from inside the ANC, from the markets, Parliament, and elsewhere. That's the first thing. The second thing is that some of the voices against state capture are credible voices, or are voices that are regarded as credible, even if they are not credible. But the perception is that they are credible. That has been his second advantage. The third advantage has been the image crisis of the president and the Zuma faction.
Aubrey, you also say Dlamini-Zuma stands a better chance to win because of the two provinces, which are KZN and Mpumalanga. What would her victory mean for the ANC as well as our country?
Well, I'm not very confident about her victory. Nor am I very confident about Ramaphosa's victory. I think neither camp should be too confident about winning this contest. I suspect the contest will be close, unless in the process of engaging in over-analyzing, we are wrong about the balance of support between the two camps. But if it is too close, for me that would be a disaster for the ANC, because the winning candidate, if the ANC is to be united at some point after the conference, must win by a wide margin so that he or she gets a strong mandate. I don't think Ramaphosa or Dlamini-Zuma will get a strong mandate, which is bad for the ANC, because it means the winner will not be able to preside over the ANC in its entirety. In other words, the part that did not support either Ramaphosa or Dlamini-Zuma, depending on who wins, will not support the victor, and therefore will not see that victor as their president. Hence the possibility that the losers, particularly if the losers are the Ramaphosa camp, may split from the ANC. A possibility that may even be stronger in a scenario where Ramaphosa either voluntarily steps down as deputy president if he loses, or is fired by President Jacob Zuma if he loses. The problem I have had with how people are counting the votes is that of confusing the nominations with possible votes, when the nominations are not equal to the number of branch delegates. So, as we've seen, Ramaphosa has won the majority of nominations. The question is whether he has the majority of delegates, because you can win the majority of nominations and still lose the elections because you do not have the majority of delegates on your side.
And lastly, what are we likely to see at the conference?
Well, the possibilities are that the conference may defy our expectations and be as peaceful as a church service. That's the first possibility. Another possibility is that conference will collapse right at the point of authenticating the credentials, or may collapse at a stage after that. But if it does finish, I'm not ruling out the possibility of legal challenges after that, which means if we're looking for stability in the ANC, I do not believe this is the conference that is going to deliver stability. It may not deliver stability for another reason. Those who support Jacob Zuma are very aware of the fact that Ramaphosa will be under pressure to force the ANC to recall Jacob Zuma if he wins. But they're also aware that those who have been campaigning against state capture have also come out in support of Ramaphosa and may want a Ramaphosa ANC and thereafter a Ramaphosa government, if he's elected head of state in 2019, to act decisively against corruption, rent-seeking, and so on. Now, both the possibility that President Jacob Zuma may be recalled and the possibility that a Ramaphosa government may come under pressure to act decisively against rent-seeking may be a source of instability for the ANC. So I don't think this is the conference that is going to deliver stability in the ANC. Another thing which may collapse conference are consistent allegations that there has been gerrymandering, that both sides, both the supporters of Dlamini-Zuma and Ramaphosa have engaged in some level of what I call doping. And it's quite possible that these allegations of doping may militate against a peaceful conference, especially given the fact that the stakes are so high that neither side can afford to lose. So either side, and you must bear in mind that both sides have engaged in some level of doping, may want to collapse the conference if they think winning the presidential contest is a bridge too far, and may resort to allegations of doping, the same doping they themselves may be guilty of, to collapse the conference.
That was political analyst Aubrey Majiki speaking to Crema Media's Polity about the ANC leadership race.